SportsCenter tonight. Two high-ranking Penn State officials who stepped down yesterday are free on bail, accused of failing to alert police to complaints that former assistant football coach Jerry Sandusky was sexually abusing boys. Authorities accuse him of sexually abusing 8 boys over 15 years. Today, some famous Penn State alums offered their reaction.
Given what Joe has espoused and what he stands for, I would be shocked even more that there's any wrongdoing there whatsoever. I can't imagine it. I've been around the guy. I know the guy. I know what he stands for. Now, having said all that, that doesn't mean people don't make mistakes.
I'm stunned by this. I think anybody that played there, that knew Jerry, that knew of the second mile and his commitment to that and work with that organization, I think everybody is shocked. I mean, it's just something that's really hard for me to get my head around, my heart around.
Well, to hear how the events unfolded, the alleged start of abuse dates back to 1994. In 98, Sandusky was investigated, says he would not shower with children again. 4 years later, Mike McQueary, who was currently the Penn State wide receivers coach, then a graduate assistant, witnessed Sandusky in sexual acts with a victim. He informed Joe Paterno the following day. Last year, McQueary testified before a grand jury, and Saturday, Sandusky was arrested and charged with sexual assault. Our Reese Davis has more now on Jerry Sandusky.
While Joe Paterno built a national powerhouse, it was Jerry Sandusky who was largely responsible for turning Penn State into linebacker youth. During more than 3 decades as the Nittany Lions defensive coordinator and linebackers coach, Sandusky tutored 10 first-team All-Americans, including names like Jack Ham, Greg Butler, Shane Conlon, and LeVar Arrington. Paterno was the face and the force behind the dynasty. Sandusky provided a perfect complement. He was the grit and the resolve. Sandusky's defense was the backbone of Paterno's 2 national championship teams. While winning the 1982 title, Penn State beat Herschel Walker and Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, holding the Heisman winner to 1.5 yards per carry below his season average. But Sandusky's virtuoso performance came 4 years later in the Fiesta Bowl, the national championship game against Miami. Penn State was a heavy underdog. The vaunted Hurricane offense featuring Michael Irvin and Heisman Trophy winning quarterback Vinny Testaverde arrived in the desert averaging nearly 40 points per game. Against Penn State, Miami mustered only 10 points. Sandusky crafted a masterful defensive plan, often dropping 8 men into coverage and viciously hitting Miami receivers if they caught the ball. And by the end of the night, they were reluctant to do so. Penn State intercepted a completely befuddled Testaverde 5 times, the final pick coming on a 4th and goal play. Pete Giftopoulos, a linebacker, got his 2nd pick of the night, stopping Miami's final threat. 14-10 the final. Linebacker U, indeed. Recalling the moment, Sandusky later said, "I've always prided myself on being able to handle pressure, but on that 4th down, I couldn't even speak to make the defensive call. When it was over, I just walked over to the bench and sat down by myself and started to cry." The blue-collar defensive wizard emerged as Paterno's heir apparent. At least that's what most Penn State fans always thought. But in 1999, with Paterno steadfastly holding the head coaching job and marking off milestones, Sandusky somewhat surprisingly announced that he would retire. He'd spent 32 years on Paterno's staff. So revered was the defensive coordinator that in his last game at Beaver Stadium, they ran him onto the field and the fans chanted his name. The curtain call came in the Alamo Bowl against Texas A&M. Penn State shut out the Aggies, the only bowl shutout by a Paterno team, and Sandusky was carried off the field by his players. When he left coaching, he devoted time to his Second Mile organization, its mission to help underprivileged children. Sandusky himself grew up living with his parents above a youth athletic center in Washington, Pennsylvania. It was a place that often helped give troubled kids direction. It was the motivation later in life for Sandusky and his wife to serve as foster parents and adopt children. Rather than helping at-risk children, Sandusky is accused of putting many of them at risk himself. Though he's been retired for more than a decade, he's maintained a close association with Penn State. Because of that association, careers now hang in the balance. Paterno's legacy risks perhaps an indirect, yet indelible stain. In his autobiography, Sandusky says he's lived by something he calls Jer's Law. Said Sandusky, "I swore I would tell the truth if I ever got caught doing something wrong." There was a time when Sandusky could do little wrong in the eyes of Penn State fans, but that was a time when his name was associated only with gridiron glory.
Reese Davis, Sandusky has been charged with sexually abusing 8 boys over a 15-year period. He faces 40 counts of sexual abuse, including involuntary deviant sexual intercourse of someone under 16, aggravated indecent assault of someone under 13, and corruption of minors. Still to come here on SportsCenter. Big win yesterday.